I'm WFAE education reporter James Farrell, and welcome to a new series called Education Mondays, where you get the rundown of the education news that you need to know. Last week in Charlotte Education News, we got an update on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools budget. We also followed as schools responded to the latest federal guidance on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, and I got to go to a cool event at Tuckaseegee Elementary School. First up, CMS is facing some budget headwinds for the next school year, and some of that is coming from the federal government. At least 3 federal grants related to teacher recruitment and development were cut as part of the Trump administration's recent efforts to make cuts related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And at a budget hearing last week, CMS Chief Financial Officer Kelly Klutz said the district is assuming that other federal funding streams, like Title I funds that go to schools with students from low-income families, could also be at risk. Federal funds account for just 8.4% of the district's overall operating budget, but support more than 10% of the district's staff. CMS says it's anticipating uncertainty in other funding sources as well. The state, which provides more than half of the district's funding, is projecting flat revenues for next year. The county is expecting a revenue shortfall. Meanwhile, the board is trying to figure out what to do about teacher supplements. Teachers' base pay is set by the state, but local districts can tack on extra pay through these supplements. The district is exploring asking Mecklenburg County to increase the teacher supplement by around 5%, which would result in a roughly $8 million increase. Some, like school board member Summer Nunn, want to explore increasing the supplement by more than 5%. This all has a lot to do with teacher recruitment and retention. The district says it's made headway in filling vacancies in classrooms, particularly those related to its goals of increasing student performance in reading and math. But retaining teachers remains a challenge. For instance, while the district reported a 99% fill rate among ELA teachers in grades 3 through 8, 49% of those teachers are beginning of career teachers, meaning they're in their first, second, or third year of teaching. In other news, area schools last week were still processing federal guidance on race and DEI. The Trump administration recently sent a letter to all state departments of education warning them to end diversity, equity, and inclusion policies by the end of the month or lose federal funding. The letter cites the 2023 Supreme Court decision that shot down affirmative action, arguing that the court's ruling, quote, applies more broadly. But CMS, UNC, NC State, and the Department of Public Instruction all told me as of last week they were still assessing the letter and its implications. UNC has already suspended a graduation requirement related to diversity courses in response to a prior executive order from the Trump administration. Last, Tuckaseegee Elementary School hosted veterans with the Montford Point Marine Association on Friday. The veterans shared the story of the Montford Point Marines, the first black Marines allowed into the service who trained at Montford Point in Jacksonville, North Carolina from 1942 to 1949. That's it for now. See you next week.